fucking nostalgia like me. I wanna know.
All right. I reckon, I'm not positive, but I reckon you guys can see me. All right. And I hope you can hear me. Um, I'm bored, you guys. So, what am I doing? I am actually gonna do a rundown of my handguns. Not the revolver though, because I actually did a video on my revolver. It's a Sauer and Son 357 Magnum. Sauer before Sauer got together with Sig, making Sig Sauer. So it is a historical piece, actually. Made in the 60s. Company named Halls. Not traffic, it's a horrible word. um, Transported them from Germany to America. It was my grandfather's carry weapon. And from grandfather to father to grandson, here I am. Alright, so this is, some of you know about him, some you don't. This is Scarface. Why do I call him Scarface? Hopefully you can see, but there's some scars on the side here. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. But there's some scars going along right here. And it came from me just kind of trial and error as I was polishing this slide. And ended up going to a grit that was just a little too much. Scratched the side of it, scraped it up rather than polishing it. I was pissed off, like super pissed off that I scratched the side of it. After a couple of days, I got over it and said to hell with it. I named it Scarface. It's got a scar on his face. Whatever. Told you guys what I carry. Wasn't playing. Those Underwood. So when I made this, what I had in mind was it would be smart to get one of those, old Glock trade-ins. All the Glock 22s are being, turned into the gun stores. They're being sold as lots of departments are going to 9mm. To me, I look at that as a plus. Even with these Berettas, when these Berettas start, coming on the market in masses because of, the military going to the SIG 320, I'm on it. Anyway, so I went to one of my favorite stores. It's called DJ's Guns in Bothell. Found this for $330, I believe was the price of it. $330. Gen 2, Glock 22. So I was originally going to build a gun, which I still am. I mean, that's what I'm doing now, is building a gun. A lot of you guys already know that. I'm building I got the P80. We got the lower complete. And I got goodies. I got my Alpha Wolf slide. And some other pieces. You guys will see that when it's done. But before I got this, before Chad showed me that $60 freaking P80 deal, I couldn't pass on $59.99. But anyway, this was my idea. Get an old Glock and turn into what you consider a great, handgun. So what do I consider a great handgun? It would be a gun that just works, no matter what. No matter what you do to it, no matter what you put it through, it works. Um, Accuracy is kind of at the bottom of the want list because I'm about it's a battle, it's a war. Stand still, precise accuracy. That's not realistic in a gunfight. I just need it to be decent. Glocks have decent accuracy. It gets the job done, right? So let's see. There's not much in this gun that is stock. So I guess on the outside you'll see that we have an extended magazine release. Now my hands, man, are small, you guys. Not everything else is. Um, let's see, Glock 29. You see my thumb can't reach that? That's just a natural grip. My thumb can't reach that. This is the Gen 4s, and the magazine releases were, extend on the Gen 4s. Even still, I don't care how hard I try, I really can't get that. Okay, I have to adjust my hand to do that. With this, not so much. Okay, I can grip this thing as much as I want, and I can reach over here and I can drop that. Okay, so it really is custom to how I need it to be for me, and that's the cool thing about about Glocks with me is the modifications are just so endless, and you can just really fit it to you. Of course, the slide release, to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, there's no point in just keeping that little, that little guy on the side. Give me an extension. And like I just said, my fingers are small anyway. Hands are small, so, I got to be able to get to that, and I barely get to that. You see that? On like my Glock 17, I really can't. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So I have to get that extension for that purpose, so that I can do these things one-handed if I need to. And the polish of the slide was obviously no more than just a looks thing, just trying to do something different, instead of all black. Every once in a while this thing gets kind of, I don't know, not as polished as it is usually, and then I have to actually polish it down again just once every couple months. I polish it back down, and then boom, it stands out. It's really nice looking. It's really pretty. This line right here happens with my holster after doing a lot of practicing my draw over and over again. It'll get that little line there because that's where the holster is, or stops there. You see the the threaded barrel. That's an Alpha Wolf threaded barrel. That is a 9mm barrel, so I did transfer it from convert it from 40 caliber to 9mm. Let's see. For the most part on the outside, other obvious things. So the stipple, right? For me, a stipple job is for the grip, man. I'm sorry, I'm just that, old boring mentality type guy. All the prettiness, it doesn't do it for me, for the grip at least. I've seen some really nice ones. I've hailed really nice ones. I'm not getting a feel. I'm not getting that great grip. And I was around when this first started, when the when the stippling first started catching on. And even before it did, I spoke to a guy who kind of, made me think about things different before stippling even came into play. Guy, he was Marine Recon, and he had like skateboard tape all over his Glock. So what are you doing? What are you doing that for? And he just kept it 100. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He said, "Have you ever killed someone?" Uh, uh, okay, well, it gets bloody. Just right. It can get bloody, and you don't want the gun slipping out of your hand. Okay, I get it. That's it. I get it. Makes sense. So that's how it is with me. Is I want that aggressive grip, and when I grab this, I can't explain to you what this feels like in my hand. Like today, I went to my favorite gun shop. Not where I got this, a different one, and I was gripping the CZ Shadow 2, and I was like, "Oh my God, this thing feels amazing." So if you've put your hands on a Shadow 2, I basically made this feel like that. Okay, like when I grabbed that Shadow 2, the first thing I said is, "Wow, this feels a lot like my custom Glock," and it did. And the other thing is, my mag well, obviously for faster reloads, right? If you mess around and don't hit it exactly, it'll guide you in. That's what that's for you guys who think people get that for looks. It's not pretty looking. The other thing that it does is because it kind of flares out there, kind of forces your hand up, and it forces you to get the highest possible grip. That's another thing I love about this is when I grip it, because of that and the stippling, I grip this better than all hands down. This is the best feel for me. This is the best feel I've had on a handgun. Straight up. I can't tell you how many guns I've held. Name it. Name it. I've gripped everything. With the stippling and everything I've done to this, this is the best grip I have ever had and ever felt. And it's because I customized it to me specifically. This is a Vickers slide racker. And so I thought I'm gonna be smart to get one of these. If if you're forced to, if you only have one arm and you gotta do a one hand rack and you need to come off your belt or whatever, anything hard, this extends out. Okay, so I can catch it on something and or my belt and rack it. Okay, and just even outside of the my arms down, I only have one arm and I need something to catch, right? Which I have that now, but also just for normal purposes, just grabbing it. I like to actually grab it from back here because it spreads out that way. It actually comes out just a little bit so that you get that grip. Okay, that's there, and I like that. In fact, the HK VP series, they have something like that where it comes out on the sides by the sights, and it's for that same thing, so that you get that grip. So I did the same thing here with my Glock. So for me, it's perfect. It makes sense tactically, and then I have it's time to go on the inside, I guess. So magwell, stipple is the feel of it. Can't even stress how nice it is. And oh yeah, 17 rounds? No, 20. Took the bottom of like the 30 round mags I get. I'll take the bottom off, put it on a regular one, and get a slightly longer spring, put it in there, hook it up, 20 rounds. That's how I like it. So all right, so This ejector that is aftermarket. It was actually much smaller, and when I went to 9mm, it wasn't ejecting as well. When I stayed at 40 caliber, it was ejecting perfectly fine. But when I put that barrel in there, that 9mm conversion barrel, the ejector that was in it, it worked most of the time, but I got usually two failure to eject every box, so probably 4 of those per 100 rounds. Can't have that, so I got that 9mm version, and boom, kicks them out. I have not had one single problem since. I've got on the inside of here, I've got let's see if I have anything. Do I have anything close where I can kick this out? I should have been more prepared. Will that work? Will that get in there? I know this looks goofy to you guys. I'm a goofy person. Can I grab that? No, I can't. I need to use something normal. Hold on. Down. Oh yeah. Okay, so I really didn't want this video to be too long. I don't even know how long we're into it, but I don't want it to be that long. Alright, so let's kick this out. Alright, so in here I have a Ghost Edge is the connector that I have in here. Why? The Ghost Edge, like there's a lot of connectors, right? There's just the Ghost 3.5 connector. They've got a few different types out there. And there's Zev brands. There's a lot of different brands, but the Ghost Edge, for me, it makes for the best trigger out of all the connectors. So that's what I go with, the Ghost Edge connector. And then the trigger spring, that is a Zev competition trigger spring in there. Okay, so I got that put in there, and let's see here. A lot of these are, although it's OEM, it's new parts because I had, it's an old Gen 2, so there's not much in here I did not swap out, even if just OEM parts. Let's see what else. So the Zev competition trigger spring reset on this gun's bananas. I made a video about that. Ghost Edge connector. We already went to the magazine release. Let's go here. So the 9mm, 40 to 9mm Alpha Wolf barrel. This is a steel guide rod. It is 17-pound spring, but steel, gotta go with steel. The plastic, no. Why? Because if you check out like cook-offs, things like that, and just in my experience seeing Glocks go through hundreds of thousands of rounds, personally seeing this, Plastic guide rods they go eventually, and so a steel guide rod removes that. That increases the reliability, skyrockets. It's not the double recoil spring like the Gen 4s and the Gen 5s, but and so they say the double recoil springs helps with the recoil, makes it feel better, softer, and that might be true, but I don't really pay attention to recoil that much unless it's a lot. So just steel guide rod is absolute plus for me with Glock. I gotta have it. Can't go plastic. Just can't do it. So that's what that is. What's this little red thing? Well, it's supposed to help with the concussion of the recoil of the slide going back and forth as you're shooting it. So it goes against this rubber and supposed to absorb the shock of the the slide going back in the battery. And do I notice it? I can't really say that I do. Like I said, I don't really even notice recoil, so I can't really say that I do. But when people shoot this gun, whether it be this, that, or something else, you know what I mean, or just a combination of everything, they'll say, "Oh, that's the best shooting Glock I've ever felt." No matter how many different guns are out there, like, "Oh, that Glock, that's the one." And I've had this out there with some champs, a lot of other really good guns, but people will always point to that, and so that's the nicest one out here in the range at the range today. It shoots like that, so I have that in there just in case it does work, just in case it is making a difference. Again, of course, we are seeing the Alpha Wolf conversion barrel. I love this barrel. I love Alpha Wolf. These things, they don't do anything. It's just for looks. And they say, "Oh, it's for heat." Shut up. No, it's not. Doesn't really do anything. Not realistically. Safety plunger. That is I don't remember who makes it, but it's an aftermarket safety plunger and aftermarket safety plunger spring. And so that also helps with the trigger pull. And the trigger on here is nicest trigger I've ever felt on a Glock, period. And this is the stock, trigger bar, like OEM, you know what I mean, and an actual trigger. Okay, it's not like I went and bought, a Zev trigger or anything. No, it's the actual stock pieces, except for, like a plunger, spring, connector, stuff like that. But the actual trigger, and the bar, that's OEM, and I got the right pieces to make that trigger just feel amazing. So that helps a lot. That's a beautiful safety plunger. And the extractor, it's a flat extractor. It's not the kind that really lets you know that there's a round in the chamber. I don't really care for that. It just kind of sits flush, and I like that. So yeah, that was after when I bought the Glock 20, this gun. The only thing that was wrong with it was the extractor was broke, so I had to get that regardless. So I bought the one that I really wanted, and I'm not gonna take everything apart, but the firing pins aftermarket, and the the maritime springs, they're like the Ghost maritime springs, I believe, and they say you can when you put that on, it allows you to be able to shoot underwater if you need to. Kind of self-cleans itself or something like that. Does it work? I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't shot it underwater. I don't plan on it. But just in case it works, I put it on there. It doesn't hurt it. So I put that in there, and I know I'm missing. Oh, the firing pin spring is aftermarket. And I believe that's it. I mean, there's not that many parts to a Glock. So I'm sure I missed something, but like I said, I don't want the video to be too long. Yeah, this, I custom, this thing is custom fit for me. And that's what I assume other people would be doing. When they get a Glock and they start modifying it and everything, I'm assuming that person is modifying it specifically for their likes. But I would be a fool to think that a lot of people aren't doing it just for the looks. Literally. Like, that's it. Just for the looks. Unfortunately, yes, it's true. It's a realistic, it happens. It's real. So, but it's not me. That's not how I am. It doesn't make me better than the next man or anything. That's just how I am. I like to believe that I have a very practical way of viewing things. Just like I had a conversation with my buddies at the gun store about the Shockwave, Mossberg. Like, what's the difference between that and, a Mossberg with just a pistol grip and no butt? It's like, oh, well, when you hold it, the recoil and the... Okay, so this instead of this is the big difference. That's what everyone's going crazy about, is because you can hold it like this instead of this. That doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't change anything. If somebody runs in my house holding it this way or that way, changes nothing. They got to die, and that's the end of the story. And neither one of those makes it any better or worse, okay, in any shape or form. So it doesn't make sense to me. The Shockwave thing is not to me, it's just, I think it looks cool, and I think people like that. So anyway, that's my custom. That's when I say Scarface, this is what I'm talking about. Yep, put one in the pipe. Whammy out.